We've had a lot of hearings.
I'm sure you have. Of the 5 markups, any bills on teacher pay that you've marked up?
The federal government is not involved in that issue. It's not the role of the federal government to be involved with teacher pay.
Not the role of the federal government to be involved in teacher pay. Okay, good to know. Have you had any markups on student safety, school shootings, hardening schools, taking actions to better protect our students in light of
We
gun
have
violence?
not had a markup.
No markups on that. Any markups on extending learning time for students that are struggling with learning loss following the pandemic? As you've noted, a lot of students ultimately fell behind as a result of the pandemic. I wonder if any bills around...
No markup on that.
The reason I asked this question, Madam Chair, and I think you've answered it for me, 8 months under Republican control of the House, no markups on school safety, no markups on teacher pay, no markups on hunger in schools, no markups on trying to address learning gaps as a result of the pandemic. Apparently, the notion of teacher pay, according to the chairwoman, completely impermissible for this committee to hold a hearing on that.
While Republican politicians bicker over how best to cover for the leader of their party and his 91 felony counts spread out over 4 federal cases against him, Democratic Representative Joe Neguse illustrated more GOP incompetence in the House, this time on school shootings. And since thoughts and prayers had run its course after their thinking about it for a moment didn't stop the next 45 school shootings, it's telling that the plans to turn schools into single-entry prisons was just another proposal to get everyone off their backs for a minute.
We have to secure our schools the same way we secure our airports and our courthouses. And that means we make sure that we have whatever we need to make sure nothing comes through, bullet-wise or otherwise. We need to have a security officer at the front of every school. We need to have one point of entry, no side or rear entries. And then we need to make sure that we have someone on staff, not a guidance counselor, but a mental health counselor that does nothing but look to see which kids may be in crisis.
It's not like Republican presidential candidates haven't been focused on American students, though. Ron DeSantis has been highly concerned about students in the classroom, but it has nothing to do with them getting through the school year alive. It has more to do with his political positioning as a representation of the unwoke. They don't care if your kid is murdered in 2nd grade class, as long as they never believed that gay people exist.
Your stand against Disney for wokeism sort of started the beginning of the end for a lot of companies focusing on imposing certain values on customers. We saw the culmination of that with Bud Light. Were you concerned that that stand could have backfired?
Ultimately, it was about standing up for kids. It's just inappropriate. And I'm a dad of young kids, 1st grader, kindergartner, and pre-K3. To be injecting things like sexuality and transgenderism into elementary school curriculum is just unacceptable.
And when directly asked if he chooses the continued proliferation of guns or your kids making it out alive, it's a question that should be really easy for him to answer. He actually chose the people that got him where he is, not the kids he claims to protect.
A state senator from Florida wants to eliminate that mandatory 3-day waiting period to buy a rifle or a shotgun in your state. That is one of the changes that, if it was eliminated, would undo something that was put in place after the Parkland shooting. Do you support eliminating that waiting period?
I think that the background check should be instant. You have the thing, somebody goes, you can run them, and you can see if there's a criminal conviction, if they're a felon, then obviously they ping. If they have mental health adjudication, then of course they're going to ping. But I think you want it to be instant background checks, and so that's what I support.
So you don't support the 3-day waiting period?
I think it should be instant.
You'd be okay with eliminating it?
I think it should be instant.
It's not surprising, but it's always going to be heartless and immoral. And with the latest school shooting that's getting media attention in Iowa, where candidates hope to win over voters, Donald Trump, as usual, removes the veil and reveals how the rest of the party feels about it.
It's horrible to see that happening. That's just horrible. So surprising to see it here. But I'll have to get over it.